प्रातः स्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वं सच्चित्सुखं परमहं सगतिं तुरीयम् यत्स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तमवैति नित्यं तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः तपोभिक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणामपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते बोधोऽन्यसाधनेभ्यो हि साक्षान्मोक्षैकसाधनं पाकस्य वह्निवज्ञानं विना मोक्षो न सिद्ध्यति. We'll chant from verse number 40 to 47 to the end of the chapter. Once each. Verse number 40 to 47. श्रीभगवानुवाच पार्थ नैवेह नामुत्र विनाशस्तस्य विद्यते न हि कल्याणकृत् कश्चित् दुर्गतिं तात गच्छति प्राप्य पुण्यकृतां लोकान् उषित्वा शाश्वती समाः शुचीनां श्रीमतां गेहे योगभ्रष्टोऽभिजायते अथवा योगिनामेव कुले भवति धीमताम् एतद्धि दुर्लभतरं लोके जन्म यदीदृशम् तत्र तं बुद्धिसंयोगं लभते पौर्वदेहिकं यतते च ततो भूयः संसिद्धौ कुरु नन्दन पूर्वाभ्यासेन तेनैव ह्रियते ह्यवशोऽपि सः जिज्ञासुरपि योगस्य शब्दब्रह्माति वर्तते प्रयत्न्याद्यतमानस्तु योगी संशुद्धकिल्बिषः अनेकजन्म संसिद्धः ततो याति परां गतिम् तपस्विभ्योऽधिको योगी ज्ञानिभ्योऽपि मतोऽधिकः कर्मिभ्यश्चाधिको योगी तस्माद्योगी भवार्जुन योगिनामपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते यो माम् समे युक्ततमो मतः. Hari Om.
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 Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
So I know we already covered 40, but I thought of chanting it again because it's just that kind of verse. If you can't memorize it, at least memorize the last line. Durgatim tat gacchati.
Nahi kalyan.
Nahi kalyanakrit kaschit durgatim tat gacchati. Durgatim tat gacchati. Durgatim tat gacchati. Okay, are there any questions? Yes, usual suspect. She's carrying all your weight, guys. I'm not joking out here. Be careful. A lot of our karmas are rubbing off on you. और एकदम बाहर आ रहा है. You have to pay her back. How will you pay her back? Some of you have never met Rashmi ji.
Jhalmudi.
Jhalmudi. See, this is how you know the knowledge is working on you. What do you ask for? Jhalmudi. Okay, yes. Tell me, Rashmi ji.
So, in verse 34, 35, almost the last, second last verse at the end, with the removal of ignorance, one gains knowledge of the self and consequently dispassion for all the world can offer. With dispassion, the mental agitations wikshape cease. Thus, through a spiritual practice and dispassion, one can control the mind and gain perfect equanimity. So my question, sir, last time also I was talking about equanimity, and here also, what exactly is dispassion? Like, what does the term dispassion encompass? What is the whole thing about it?
I'm guessing this is the portion you're talking about? Yeah? This is the part you're talking about?
So I can't see the other.
Huh?
Yeah, the last line I can see, but I can't see the whole thing.
You can't see the whole...
The yellow,
Huh?
The yellow portion you have marked, I can't see, so I'm not being able to answer your question.
You're not being able to see, matlab? Are you, as everyone else, able to see?
Okay, I must have. Yeah, now I can see.
Yeah, sir.
With the removal of ignorance, one gains knowledge of self and consequently dispassion for all the world can offer. With dispassion, the mental agitation cease. Thus, through spiritual practice and dispassion, one can control the mind and gain perfect equanimity. Right? Abhyasa and Vairagya. Oh Arjuna, the mind is hard to control, no doubt about it. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. However, with Abhyasa and Vairagya, it can be controlled. So your question is, what is this Vairagya? The word dispassion is used for Vairagya. It's always good to reference, okay, what is the actual word being translated? Otherwise, we develop all sorts of connotations about, because in English, the word can mean many things, right? But the actual Sanskrit word being translated gives us some context because we have some understanding of what is Vairagya. In general, when in Vedanta we use the term dispassion, we don't mean disinterest. When we say dispassion, we don't mean a lack of caring. See, in normal parlance, people use the word dispassion as a deflated person uh, who has no purpose in life, no thrill in life, no eagerness in life. But I take you back to chapter 6, verse 1. Do you remember chapter 6, verse 1? Anyone who can chant for me chapter 6, verse 1 without looking, I'll come to your house and give you a hug.
Chapter?
उसी चैप्टर में फर्स्ट
6, verse 1. Anyone? Going once, going twice, my hug's gone. अनाश्रित कर्म फलम कार्यम कर्म करोति यः स सन्यासी च योगी च न निरग निर्न चाक्रियः. अनाश्रित कर्म फलम कार्यम कर्म करोति यः स सन्यासी च योगी च. This is a sannyasi, that's a yogi. Not one without fire, not one who is inactive and disengaged. One who is very much engaged in the world, doing their swadharma. One who is very much active, one who has clear goals and ambitions. They have purified their ambitions. Their ambitions are no longer selfish. Their ambitions are no longer mundane. They have divinized their ambitions. They are working as instruments for the Lord. But ambition is there, fire is there. So usually we associate the word dispassion with a yogi, with a sannyasi, and we think, oh, such a person is a deflated person. No. Dispassion, vairagya, is a state of evolution. Is a state where you hold control over your mind and its passions, where you set the right value to things, and therefore they don't disturb you. Sure, you may cater to them, but they don't disturb you. है तो अच्छा है, नहीं है तो कोई बड़ी बात नहीं. हाँ. When I go on a flight, no, sometimes, so when my wife and I are traveling, and I feel like treating her to some relative luxury, what I'll do is I'll book 2 seats in the emergency exit, but window and aisle, hoping and assuming that the middle seat remains empty. Huh? Why? Because the airlines, unless someone pays for the ticket, pays for that seat, they won't give that seat. So unless the plane is full, that seat is highly likely to remain empty. So when you board the flight and you sit and you're waiting, will someone come? Or will I be able to lift my legs and aram se, sit in lotus position? Because that's the most comfortable position to sit in.
Lotus position.
So maybe 6 out of 10 times a person comes. 4 out of 10 times the bet pays off. It's worth the investment. Point is, if it's there, all well and good. If someone else comes, you offer them, you want the window seat, I'll adjust. Dispassion doesn't mean you don't want anything. It means that if you get it, all well and good. If you don't get it, not the end of the world. Why? Because you have set the right value for it. It's not a deal breaker anymore. Good to have, but not important, not necessary. You develop that attitude with everything in life. Good to have, but No big deal. That
to have, but
association with things, that association with objects and beings, with people also, you'll develop that. If they come, all well and good. If they don't, so you are no longer dependent on that external circumstance. That state of independence, that state of relative freedom is called dispassion. Now you notice how already when you reach this state of relative independence, your mind will automatically be less agitated, more free, more easy. Naturally, such a mind is easier to control, and therefore, Lord Krishna says, when you develop this dispassion through abhyasa, through yoga. So, through yoga, through abhyasa, you practice, you achieve dispassion, you attain dispassion, and when you attain this, the mind becomes easier to control. So, Arjuna, I totally agree with you at your state right now. This, the mind may be seeming like an unsurmountable challenge, but through abhyasa and through vairagya, through dispassion. Now, dispassion is not something that can be practiced, it's an effect. Let me tell you that also. You can't force your mind to feel dispassion. Because he said out here through dispassion, the mind can be controlled. It doesn't mean you can practice dispassion. It is an effect on your personality. Dispassion is an effect of abhyasa. Dispassion is an effect of yoga. Yoga is the cause, dispassion, vairagya is the effect. And when you become a vairagi, when you attain this dispassion, automatically you'll be flowing. Or in our parlance, you'll be chill. You'll be chill. Clear?
Beautifully explained. Very nice.
Okay. If no other questions, okay, Prachi, yes, Ankit. Sorry, Prachi, I assume it's Ankit, maybe it's Prachi.
that's Ankit.
So my question is, can the mind, can it ever be perfectly controlled? Because even preceding Arjuna's question in the 26th verse, when Krishna ji is talking about the state of the elevated yogi sitting or preparing for meditation, even there he mentions that, your mind may wander away and you may have to restrain it. So, if even in an elevated state, you have to sort of control the mind and just keep it in check, can you ever have perfect equanimity?
Through abhyasa and vairagya, it's possible.
Yes. Okay.
See, for all practical purposes, you can achieve a great level of control through abhyasa and vairagya. Ultimately, when we talk about that perfect control which you're hinting at, that is what you need in that seat of meditation, right? And therefore, meditation, the practice of meditation, for a meditator, he needs that perfect single pointed concentration upon the mantra, right? And it doesn't come easy. I totally agree with you. It takes years and years and years. You can take an entire lifetime of practice. But that level of control is far beyond the purpose of ordinary people who may just want a little bit of peace and prosperity in life, right? But long and short of it is, yes, it's possible. People have attained it. You start your practice of meditation with the practice of japa. Japa is a preparation for meditation. So in japa, what you do is you're training your mind. See, you can't remove thoughts. But japa is a practice of imposing a certain thought on your mind, imposing the jap, the mantra on your mind. So with that imposition of the jap, everything else gets abated. And the intellect is playing that role of reinforcing the mantra. And you're also using a physical aid, you're using a japamala. If you read the Vedanta treatise, he talks about this. how the Japamala acts as an aid to your mind. So in the Japamala, there's a technique where you don't use this finger. And recently, I was at a retreat where they were teaching how to jap as well, and I remembered when Swamiji had written that you don't use this finger. Why? Because this finger signifies the ego. Among your fingers, this finger, the thumb, represents the Atman. Why? Because itself it is detached, it is separate from the rest of the fingers. But without the thumb, you can achieve little. So it's that enlivening principle which is detached from the body, but it is essential for everything. So the thumb represents the Atman. This finger, the pinky little finger, represents the body. It's quite important, but it's not all important. These two fingers represent the mind and the intellect. I should be careful with my fingers because these have other connotations nowadays. But this one represents the mind and the intellect. And this represents the ego. So you are a combination of Deha, Man, Buddhi, Ahankar, Atman. Deha, Man, Buddhi, Ahankar, Atman. अहंकार को आप छोड़ो. इसलिए जब आप यज्ञ करते हो ना, आप यज्ञ जब करते हो, दिस इज दी, when you're doing offering any ahuti, next time when you go for a havan, ये हम यहाँ पूजा पद्धति के डिटेल्स तो नहीं समझाते, but these little things are important. When you're doing a havan or when you're doing any yajna, when you're offering the ahuti, the samagri, right, you offer it with these two fingers and your thumb. You don't use this finger, you don't use this finger. Why? You don't use this finger because you have to, it's a reminder that it's not your body that's doing the yajna. It's not merely a physical activity. Any yajna, the physical expression is just, the physical level is just the expression, but the actual activity is being done by the mind and intellect. Your emotions and your thoughts need to be aligned with that purpose, with that yajna. So you don't use this finger, and you don't use this finger because you don't want to associate your action with ego. You don't want kartritva bhavna. You're simply doing what you're designed to do. No prefixes, no suffixes. So when you're performing a yajna, when you're offering your ahuti, when you offer that samagri into a yajna, it's symbolic of your efforts in an action, your efforts in a cause. So it's symbolic. You're taking a part of your effort which you have brought with you and offering it into the cause, which is the fire. So you only use these fingers, right? This middle and ring finger, which is the mind and intellect. Anyway, I was explaining the Japamala, right? I forgot what I was explaining. I was explaining the Japamala. So similarly, in the Japamala, you don't use this finger. You roll the beads, you hold it like this, and you roll it between your middle and your thumb. So there's a physical association with the jap. As you're chanting the mantra, the middle finger and the thumb will roll over a bead. It'll roll over a bead. It'll roll over a bead. And after a point, the mental jap, or you may be in the beginning, you may be chanting it sort of, verbally. The verbal or the mental jap and the physical action of rolling the bead, they become synchronized. At some point, if ever you practice it, you'll notice they become synchronized. So the mind, as you rightly said, is always subject to distraction. It's asthira. It's unstable. But because of this association, right, the moment your mind slips and your chant stops, the rolling of the beads will stop. It's amazing how it works. And suddenly you'll be brought back into an awareness. So what are you doing through this practice? You're not allowing your mind to slip away too much. Otherwise, it can go in a totally different tangent and it can spend several minutes in a distracted state. Suddenly you realize, I have to get back to my jap. So in this sort of physical association, the synchronization, it aids the sort of realignment of the mind with the single pointed thought. When you become seasoned in this, they say you don't need this anymore. You don't need this synchronization. You don't need this alignment as such. It becomes synchronized. There are several layers to your concentration, to your awareness, to your meditation. Right? So, is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Several people have done it. Yeah. And for all practical purposes, even if you do a fraction of it, even if you develop a little bit of vairagya and develop a relative stability of the mind, you'll become much more aware and you'll be much more happier as a human being.
But you can be dispassionate, like, about, whether you'll get what you're striving for, not what you're striving for. But, will that like necessarily cease the thought flow that's happening?
The dispassion, remember, it's an effect, right? So you're not justifying to yourself anymore that, oh, I don't need it. I'm okay without it. That's not dispassion.
Yeah.
It's a predisposition. Because you have placed your value on something higher, because you have placed your attention and importance on something higher, this becomes relatively irrelevant. So naturally, your thoughts don't preoccupy you. See, for example, suppose you're playing damsharads with your nephews and nieces. Does the outcome of the game really matter to you? Don't tell me if it does. I hope it doesn't.
The splendor it does.
First, first splendid. That's why they say now some of these board games they really test your dispassion. It's quite
Don't
funny.
ask him game questions. He's very like competitive when it comes to all this.
But that may be a good arena to practice then.
Yeah.
Dispassion. Full involvement, but take it as a sport, right? When you see it as a game, the outcome matters less and less. When the outcome matters less and less, you'll be less preoccupied. You'll be less stiff. You'll be more easygoing. You'll be less worried about, okay, what's going to happen. So your question is that will that dispassion cease the mental sort of preoccupation? Absolutely, that's the meaning of dispassion. Without it, you're not dispassionate. See, dispassion is not a mechanical, enforcement of thought. Oh, this doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. It's not a mechanical enforcement of thought, which is why we say dispassion cannot be practiced. It's an effect. When you realize it's just a game, when you realize this is just one life in multiple lifetimes, when you realize that 100 years is a mere speck in the 84 lakh lifetimes I have lived, automatically dispassion will happen. And when it happens, your mind won't race and your mind won't worry about 20 things that don't need to be worried about. You'll develop a spirit of surrender. Through dispassion, your bhakti will increase. In chapter 18, he says, through jnanam, bhakti comes. You surrender. What is bhakti? Bhakti is nothing but an attitude of surrender to the unseen hand, to the forces beyond you that apparently seem to sustain and maintain everything. That's bhakti. You develop bhakti. And in that state, you revel. Your mind is no longer agitated. But you can't force it. You can't say, oh, this is not valuable. I heard in Gita class that you shouldn't value this. Oh, it's not important. It's not something that's mechanically enforced on your mind. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I have trouble or, discerning between dispassion and just having the thought in the first place. Like in your example, you're thinking that, okay, like if I book the emergency row seat, I could be relatively more comfortable, but, you're not like sort of concerned whether you ultimately do get the middle seat empty or not. But, the thought is still going towards your own like sort of comfort. So Yeah.
What I'm trying to convey through that example is that the thought of your comfort is not a bad thing,
Yeah.
because we seem to demonize desire. We seem
Yeah.
to demonize, our likes and dislikes. That's not the actual problem. Your attachment to them is the problem. Your inability to do without it is the problem. So it's only to convey that
Yeah.
eventually, um, you won't even need, I mean, in a very high state, you won't even have any of those likes and dislikes. You won't even have any of those preferences. But that's a separate point. I don't want to confuse the. Okay.
So I have a very small question. When Arjuna is talking about, what will happen if I don't attain perfection in this life, he's
Hmm.
talking, and the result of it, he's talking about his confusion regarding his present life, or like what will happen when he dies without attaining perfection.
Yeah. What he means is that if I only know this life, I don't know what came before, I don't know what will come after. I only know right now. Now, what if you're putting me on this path? If I try to walk on this path and don't attain the ultimate, what happens to me if I die without it? Because we seem to think of death as a finality. Seem to think
Hmm.
of death as a terminal state,
Hmm.
right? And that is our ignorance, and that is what the Lord will answer. So we'll see what He has to say.
Hmm.
Yes, Rituji.
Thank you.
Yes. So I was just thinking about the dispassion example that you gave again, being on the flight. So what I understand is that it's the same thing like what we talk about karma.
Hmm.
It's the same. It's also an example of do your karma and then don't put, don't get moved by what the result is.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it is the same thing.
It's
It's the same
it's
thing, absolutely.
indeed it's a surrender of what is beyond your control.
Yes,
Yeah.
sure. Thank you.
Okay, verse number 40. Durgatim tat gachati. Oh beloved, oh dear Arjuna, oh my darling, oh Partha, since you have surrendered to me, let me assure you, you will not come to grief. Anybody who does good, none who does good will come to grief, neither here nor hereafter. See, this concept of here nor hereafter, you'll see it several times in the Bhagavad Gita. And this is a central theme in Vedantic philosophy, in Hindu philosophy in general. That this life is not the beginning or the end of your journey. Your journey didn't begin at your birth, your journey does not end at your death. Your past actions have brought you here, and your journey will continue into the future. And it's not random either. There is a divinity that shapes our ends. There is a law of karma through which we are sustained and we continue on this path. And anyone who does good will not come to grief. The moment you understand that, and what do I mean by understand that? It truly touches your soul, you will not grieve. See, the very first thing that the Lord told Arjuna, what was the very first thing that the Lord told Arjuna? Today is my quiz day. Chapter 2, verse number 11. Is it 11? I think it's 11. What's chapter 2, verse number 11? This, since it's so long ago, I would have ordered dinner also. Come, giving you a hug, ordered dinner also. Yes, it is 11. Chapter 2, verse 11, the first real words of the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita. Ashochanan vashochastvam prajnavadam shubhashase. Gatasuna gatasumscha nanushocanti pandita. Ashochanan vashochastvam. शोक, तुम शोक कर रहे हो, यू आर ग्रीविंग, for what you should not be grieving for. Oh, Arjuna, you're grieving for what you should not be grieving for. Please understand, this is not a small thing. Arjuna is in the middle of a battlefield. His entire family is on the line. Not only his family, but his cousins on the other side. His own son is going to meet his end in this war. And in war, you never know what's going to happen. In the beginning of the war, it's as good as putting everyone's life on the line. So it's a big deal, it's not a small deal. And still, the Lord, almost seemingly heartless, he says, you're grieving for what you should not be grieved for. We shouldn't grieve for our children. We shouldn't grieve for our family. What are you saying, Krishna? What do you mean by we should not grieve for what is, this is not what, we are grieving for what we should not grieve for. What do you mean by these words? Ashochan and Vashochastu. You're grieving for what you should not be grieving for. On the surface of it, one should be flabbergasted by what the Lord is saying. How can you say you mean I shouldn't care about them? He's not saying they're not worthy of your care. He's not saying they're not worthy of your concern. It's not that you shouldn't grieve for them because of anything about them per se as people. You shouldn't grieve because you need to see them in totality. These beings, whoever you call your own, or maybe those who are not your own also, they're all on their own journey, and their journey didn't begin at their birth, and their journey will not end at their death. Verse number 11 to 30 of chapter 2. If you get it, you've got it. You've got life. You'll be unmoved. Verse number 11 to 30 of chapter 2. He says, these men will never die, you will never die, nothing will ever die. In another tone, he says, they have already been slain. They have already died. He's speaking in riddles. It's not so easy to understand because he's challenging your understanding of this. But in essence, what does he say in these 20 odd verses? He says that every individual, every being is a combination of spirit plus matter. The spirit in them is indestructible. Nainam chinnanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kliyadayantyaapaha. Fire cannot burn it, water cannot wet it, wind cannot harm it in any way. The elements cannot touch it in any way. So every human being is a combination of spirit plus matter. The spirit is indestructible, unmoving. But even if you keep the spirit aside, even if you look at the material components of an individual, the personality of an individual, the person, what makes the individual a person, even that, when you look at it, every human being is a combination of a sukshma sharira and a sthula sharira, a subtle body and a gross body. The gross body, the physical form, the deha, is nothing but a vehicle for the sukshma sharira, that antakarana, that personality, the mind and the intellect. And the mind and the intellect, which are nothing but an expression of your vastness, your smell, your fragrance, they are simply housed in this body. The deha has a dehi. The deha has a dehi. The dehi, the antakarna. This dehi simply goes from one body to another body in reincarnation. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinnati naro parani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani. Like you shed clothes and put on new ones, similarly this dehi, this antakarana, this mind and intellect simply sheds this body and will put on a new one and puts on a new one. Just as they shed some other body and put on this new one in this incarnation, similarly everyone who is living out here They are gata soon, agata soon. They are on their way. They are on their way where? To the culmination of this life and the continuation into the next. When you develop a appreciation for this idea, neither here nor hereafter durgatim tat gacchati. Otherwise, these words won't make sense. Otherwise, they'll seem like a balm that is forced upon you. I'm trying to rub a soothing balm on you. No, I'm not trying to soothe you. That's not the only. Don't diminish the importance of this and the gravity of this assurance of the Lord to a mere balm to soothe you. No, it's the truth of life. When you appreciate the mechanics of life, you will understand. You will develop a panoramic vision. And when you understand the deeper messages, you'll find closure in whatever you are dealing with. Durgatim tat gacchati. Nobody will come to grief. One who does good. And what happens to such a person? A person who does good, what happens? That's the interesting part. So in the next couple of verses, we'll see how your spiritual journey has come with a certain momentum from the past and will continue into the future, even if you don't attain the ultimate. Some people out here will say, I am already 60, I am already 50, I am already 70. What's the point of starting now? Of course, there's a point of starting now. First of all, remember that example of that Om Swami video I posted. Maybe you only have 6 mantras left. So even if you start at 70, God knows what karma you're bringing. But even then, even if you don't achieve the culmination of this journey, you are carrying with you whatever effort. No effort is lost. Chapter 3, he says, no effort is lost on this path. Not a single thought of effort. Every single thought counts. So whatever you put in on this journey. So what happens to such a person? He says, verse number 41. Prapya punyakritam lokan oshitva shashvati samaha शुचीनां श्रीमतां गेहे योगभ्रष्टो भिजायते प्राप्य पुण्यकृतां लोकान् उषित्वां शाश्वती समाः शुचीनां श्रीमतां गेहे योगभ्रष्टो भिजायते. Having attained to the worlds of the righteous and having dwelled there for eternal years, he who has fallen from yoga is born in the home of the pure and wealthy. Shuchinam Shrimatam. So Arjuna's question was, what happens to a yoga bhrashta? One who has fallen from yoga, who has fallen short on the path of yoga. Well, no, even though you have fallen short of the path of yoga, you are accumulating a lot of punya. You don't do yoga for punya. It's not a transaction, but an outcome of your spiritual effort is a lot of punya. And because of that punya, you will enjoy a heavenly life in this life as well. And even beyond this life, you will attain the worlds of the righteous. You will attain a heaven. You will attain a svarga. Punya kritam. And you will dwell there for eternal years. Now this is very interesting. I can spend about 5-7 minutes on this. Part of me is in a little bit of a hurry because I know we go at a certain pace, but part of me wants to spend some time on this concept, so please stay with me. I thought we'll conclude chapter 6 today, but it doesn't look like it. Thanks to Rashmiji, thanks to Ankit, holding us back. Not holding us back, lifting us up. Thank you so much. Even though there's a delay. I was just thinking we're about to complete 1 year in this class and we've completed 6 chapters. So do the math. How long is it going to take? And don't worry, it's not 1 into 3. Even though we have completed a third of the Bhagavad Gita in terms of the number of chapters, we have completed about 40% of the verses. So 2.5 years, आप लेके चलो. So 1.5 साल बाकी है मेरे साथ. इसके पहले छुट्टी नहीं मिलेगी. Anyway. So yeah, I thought we'll conclude chapter 6 today, but it doesn't look like it. But I'm going to spend some time on this particular verse. Having attained to the worlds of the righteous and having dwelt there for eternal years. See, there's a concept of Kalpa Yuga, right? In chapter 8, we're going to come to it. Or you might have read somewhere else also. One Mahayug is made up of Satyug, Treta Yug, Dwapar Yug, Kali Yug. And each yuga, each Mahayuga is made up of 4.32 billion years. And one Mahayuga is we'll get to the specifics. But long and short of it is like one day in Brahma Loka, in the realm of Brahma, or in Svarga Loka, one day is like 4.32 billion years. Or let's take an average. One day in Brahma Loka is 1,000 years in Bhuloka. Bhuloka is this realm you and I are in right now. So there's a concept in our tradition, in our philosophy out here, which talks about these several layers of time. Not only is time not linear, it is cyclical, but also time is not uniform. Different realms have different sort of clock speeds almost, right? So it's like, Shiva blinks an eye and 1,000 years have passed out here. Why? Because where Shiva is in the Loka, time is at a certain pace. Think of it this way. I don't know if you ever thought about it. It's a very interesting concept in a theory of perception perspective. But time for you and me is moving at a certain speed in our experience of time. What about for an ant? What about for a bacteria? Is time moving at the same pace? See, you'll understand the relative experience of time in your own experience also. When you're having a great time, time seems to be moving very fast. अरे खत्म हो गया, अरे अभी तो शुरू हुआ. And when you're having a terrible time, when you're struggling, flight delay, oh my god. 1 hour seems like a week. But 1 hour in this class, in this beautiful class with me, seems like nothing. Finished. For those of you who are enjoying this class, it finishes very early. For those of you who can't stand my face or are bored with what I say, suppose someone is visiting your house, you tell them, I'm going to take you to my class. I attend class in the morning. You attend class. Morning is meant to be for sleeping. No, you must come. So you drag your guest to this class. You're enjoying. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. They've yawned 20 times since then. But they are obliging you. For you, time is moving very fast. For them, oh my god, when will he stop? So time has a relative... time moves slow and fast depending on which loka, which realm of experience you are in. Right? So that's the symbolism. So anyway, in a higher loka, even a short amount of time seems like a lot. Or actually a lot has passed. A lot of time may have passed, but you feel like it's been nothing. You spend a week in a holiday, it feels like you've barely spent a couple of hours. Right? So Brahmaloka, a state of punya, you may actually spend a long time because you really enjoy that experience. So when you have accumulated punya and are experiencing that elevated state, you dwell there for eternal years. That's the meaning of the statement. Having attained the worlds of the righteous, having attained the punya, the realm of the punya kritam, and having experienced that elevated state of being, that heavenly state of being, and having dwelled there for eternal years, because it's very easy to get totally lost in a nice experience, and a very long amount of time also may feel like just a little bit, right? So having dwelled there for eternal years, he who has fallen from yoga is reincarnated. There is reincarnation for one who has attained a lot of punya but not samadhi, not moksha. So what happens to such a person? They are born into the home of the pure and wealthy, Shuchinam and Shrimatam. They are born into an environment where there is both shuchihi, purity not only in purity of mind, and purity of mind will naturally reflect as purity of the environment. It will be a clean household, not only of a clean environment but of clean thoughts. People will have sadbhav. It'll be a happy household. You'll have stable parents. You'll have a good family. Now, don't overthink this. Oh my God, this was not nice in my family. That was not nice in my family. That's why my punya is not good. My this is not. Don't. The fact that you're sitting here quietly enjoying this class means you have done a lot of punya, and you have been born into a peaceful environment, right? So don't overthink it. This is not for your over analysis. Did I do good karma? Relatively speaking, you'll be born into a pure place where purity will be available, where good values will be available. Nobody's perfect, no household is perfect, but there'll be a relative purity and there'll be prosperity. श्री, आपके घर में लक्ष्मी का वास होगा. Prosperity is not to be shunned. Prosperity is a great enabler. Prosperity needs to be celebrated. We worship prosperity. We worship Lakshmi. Prosperity really helps on your spiritual path. So such an environment where there are good values and prosperity will be an aid for you to continue your journey. Means you will be blessed with an environment which is conducive not only for your well-being but also for you to continue your path. And what happens? There's more. If you continue, or you may think, oh, great, I'm very happy. If you're happy with Shuchi and Shri, good. But for those who want more, the Lord has more to offer. If you continue on this path, what happens? He says, Athava yoginameva kule bhavati dhimatam etadhiddurlabhataram loke janma yadidrisham. अथवा योगिनामेव कुले भवति धीमताम् एतद्धिदुर्लभतरं लोके जन्म यदीदृशम्. He says, or he is born into a family of wise yogis. He is born into a family of wise yogis only, nothing else. Means that's the only importance given in that environment of yoga, of spiritual development. If you continue on your spiritual journey, not only will you be blessed with Shri and Shuchihi, but you'll have a different kind of Shri. You'll have a different kind of purity, Shuchihi. You'll have an elevated wealth. What is the elevated wealth? The wealth of spirituality. You'll be born into an environment where the priority for everyone around you is the spiritual journey. आपके परिवार में क्या क्या बातें होती हैं? खाने का तो बहुत बात होता होगा. कहाँ खाएंगे, क्या खाएंगे, क्या करेंगे. एक्सपीरियंस का तो बहुत बात होता होगा. So most of us are blessed with prosperity. The very fact that you are sitting out here, we are blessed with a certain amount of prosperity. कुछ फैमिलीज में बात होता होगा कि we should go to a Tirth Sthal, or we should go to some kind of a spiritual experience, especially among the older people in the family. That's a relative spirituality. But if you expand the horizons of your family, your blood family is not your only family. We are a family out here. And you and I and all of us have been born into this family right now of yogis, whose priority right now for this 1 hour at least is our spiritual evolution. So not only have you been blessed with purity and wealth, you've also been blessed with being born into a family of wise yogis. Now imagine someone who has access to this all the time, where this is very much the priority of everyone around them. Their mahat itself is of spirituality. How much of a support will it be for their spiritual journey? How much of a tailwind? We say it's a tailwind. Ultimately, you have to carry yourself, but your environment will support you. So such a birth is very difficult to obtain. Oh Arjuna, don't think that you are going to be lost and disintegrated and without a direction in life. No, nature will reward you with a blessed environment to continue your journey. And nobody who does good will fall. One who does good, one who has a good nature, one who has purity of heart, one who is committed to developing themselves will be rewarded by nature with an environment conducive to take their journey ahead. This is true for you, and this is true for everyone around you. Such a birth is very difficult to obtain. Even a human birth itself is very difficult to obtain. Imagine a human birth with all these additional perks. Getting a human body itself is difficult to obtain. But now, along with the human body, you've also been given a conducive environment. It's very, very difficult. Don't waste it away. We've all been blessed. You have no idea what work you have put in to land here. Don't throw it away. Having a good time and enjoying life is all well and good. It's all well and good. But bhaja govindam, govindam bhaja. Moodhamate. That's not me saying it. It's Adi Shankaracharya saying it. Pardon my language. Bloody fools. Adi Shankaracharya is telling us. You fools. Bhaja govindam. Life has a far greater purpose than acquisition and enjoyment. There's nothing wrong in acquisition and enjoyment, but wake up to this higher journey. Beyond name, fame, wealth, position, experience, family, enjoyment, experiences, beyond all these things, Bhaja Govindam. Seek the self, seek the eternal, seek your ultimate purpose. With that thought, we'll conclude today. Counting our blessings with an attitude of gratitude, we step into this day with a renewed conviction to continue on your spiritual journey and come back with lots of questions on Tuesday. We'll meet you again. But we'll conclude out here for now. And any quick questions if you have, I'm happy to address them.
I have just was asking the number of births that you mentioned. So,
84
in this philosophy, also, I mean, does that hold true in Advaita Vedanta? This kind of a theory?
All theories are meant to pacify your mind. Okay. More than the specifics of a theory, the symbolism of a theory is far more important. So if you hold a gun to my head and say, tell me, Utsav, is it 84 lakh or is it 85 lakh? Or is it 85,000? I don't know. Some texts
No,
will have 84 lakhs, some texts will have 50,000, God knows.
no,
But
but
the symbolism is important. What is the symbolism? That a long time and a lot of effort has been spent to come here. Imagine how many creatures live in this world. You know, you have more bacteria cells than human cells in your body. You have innumerable bacteria living inside you right now. Anyone a doctor out here? Divya ji is here? I think she's gone.
I think she left.
Any doctor out here? They'll clarify this. They'll verify this. There's more bacteria cells in your body than human cells. What if you were born as a bacteria living inside someone's body? How many lives have you spent as a bacteria? So I'm not saying 84 lakh lives of 100 years. No, it could be. There's so many creatures which live for a couple of days. They serve a very mundane purpose. You see all sorts of. You'll see National Geographic. You'll see there are insects born for like 5-6 days. Their only purpose is to impregnate or sort of fertilize an egg and finish, because they're serving a very mundane purpose, which is reproduction. How many lives were you born as that insect? The symbolism is that you have been through a long journey to attain this. Now, is it 84 lives? I don't know. But the symbolism, if your question is it true? Is this symbolism there in Advaita Vedanta? Yes. Ultimately, Advaita Vedanta says this is all a dream. Yeah, this is all your imagination. What 84 lakh, 64 lakh? You've just fallen asleep. Just wake up, man. Just wake up.
So that's my question. That's my question. So, and I've also heard that, you can do it now and here is what you can, maybe this is your last. So it's the symbolism that I'm trying to understand actually.
It is the
That,
symbolism. Dekhiye, when Shivendra Nagarji just gave this example where apparently our Guru, Swami Parthasarathy, had narrated the story where someone came to him or Swami Chinmayananda and asked him, they came like you, Swamiji, I want enlightenment. Can I get it? Can I get it here and now? Swamiji said yes. But I'm a little busy right now. Come tomorrow, I'll give it to you. So they came tomorrow. Swamiji said, it'll take a couple of days. You do these things, and you come back. Then he said a little longer. Then he said a little longer. By the fifth visit, the person understood that it's going to take some time. Right? So, is it possible? Yes. For whom? For one who is at the threshold. For one who is at the threshold, it's certainly possible. Is it possible for you to hit a century in a one-day international cricket match? Theoretically, yeah. But have you put in the work for it to be possible for you? Is it possible for Virat Kohli? Yeah. He'll do it eyes closed. Beautiful. How possible? It's possible for both you and Virat Kohli. How probable is it? Right? So, but what's also true is that through abhyasa, through practice, you can also lift yourself to that state of Virat Kohli. Right? And all these ideas, all these theories serve to inspire you to put in that abhyasa, to put in that practice. Right? You wake up with a renewed inspiration. I must do this. Why? Because of the theory. So I'm not splitting hairs about the theory, but the theory inspires you. As long as that inspires you, it's done its job. And then when you reach this threshold, jago or bhago. Here and now it's possible. Absolutely it's possible. Ramana Maharshi got it like that. Within a couple of days, Ramana Maharshi was checked out, done. It's possible. Don't get up from your seat. You're sitting right now, don't get up from your seat. It's possible. Say, I will not get up until the Lord comes to me. That's what Dhruva did. Right? You hear the story of Dhruva. He says, I will not move until the Lord comes within. Is it possible? Is it probable? Are you capable currently with your body? Probably not. You're already thinking about, अब तो सुबह चाय पीनी है, 8:15 बज गया है, चलो. Your body is already dragging you away. Maybe you need some stretches, right? So, possible to hai. We are working towards making it probable. Yeah. Okay. Now the questions will conclude. Thank you so much and see you on Tuesday. Hari Om.
thank you.
Hari Om. Thank
Hari Om,
you.
Hari Om.